Sztynort village on Lake Sztynortskie is a beautiful corner of the great Masurian lakes. With its several hundred years of history, it is well known to enthusiasts of cultural tourism as a unique meeting place and a rich source of knowledge about the region. To sailors, it is the iconic largest port in Mazuria. This tiny village is in the Warmian-Masurian voivodeship, the Great Lakes area of the Węgorzewo district and the Węgorzewo commune. Its name comes from the German word Sztynort, which means stone place. Sztynort was built on a peninsula between lakes Dargin, Kirsaite and Mamre, near the Sztynort boulders on Lake Dargin. Today, the boulders are a stony shoal, but a few hundred years ago, they were perhaps a castle or an island, the history of which remains an interesting mystery. The main architectural attraction and cultural heritage of Sztynort is the beautiful historic palace and park complex, which was the residence of the Lehndorff family, one of the most eminent aristocratic families in former East Prussia. The residence belonged to the family estates from the times of the Teutonic Knights in the 16th century until the end of World War II in 1945. The Lehndorff family lived and managed the Sztynort estates for over 600 years. This is where the story of the assassination attempt on Hitler's life took place. This is also where the ancestors of today's British monarchs may have come from, as the Lehndorff family is related to them. Next to the palace, there are farm buildings, such as a granary, stables and barns. Today they allow us to imagine the former enormity of the Sztynort estate. Sztynort is a unique place because it was here that one of the oldest stud farms in East Prussia existed. The heritage of the famous Trakehner horses, inscribed on the UNESCO World Heritage List, creates a real cultural wealth of the region. Sztynort is also the birthplace of the famous hippologist Count Georg Lehndorff, who greatly contributed to horse breeding in East Prussia and Europe. The year 2023 marks the 190th anniversary of his birth. To commemorate this important person and emphasize the historical significance of Sztynort traditions, horse riders and guests took part in the first prestigious Masurian horseback tour under the name Sztynort Stud of Count Lehndorff. A one-day tour along the historical trails of the Lehndorff family estate in Sztynort, organized in a wild, still undiscovered part of Masuria, was the first event of this type in the region. Its first edition, on May the 27th, 2023, opened a unique tourist series of annual horse events related to the history of horse breeding in Warmia and Masuria. The 3-hour guided horseback tour started in front of the palace. Then the riders rode through the palace park, the Lehndorff Mausoleum, Łabapa village, Radzieja village, a historic forester's lodge, and the Sztynort Nature Reserve. Riding a carriage and visiting Sztynort attractions with a guide were also possible during the event. The beautiful 18-hectare park surrounding the palace from the north is today a memory of the former splendor of flowery alleys, flower parterres, paths, park architecture, garden sculptures, antique statues, numerous species of trees and shrubs, as well as illuminations and entertainments of distinguished palace guests in the 18th century. The park's sandstone sundial measured the passage of time then. Today, the park's history is guarded by dignified avenues of several hundred-year-old huge trees, mainly oaks. They have seen and remembered more than a human being can remember. Dozens of oaks still grow in the park today. Each of them is 300 or 400 years old, and the oldest is said to be around 1000. In the western part of the park, there is a red brick, eclectic chapel from the 1860s, designed by Friedrich August Stühle. It might even seem that as a mysterious gate, it leads to the green world of the Alley of Oaks. Its upper facade is decorated with characteristic six-pointed stars, and the front wall with German crosses. Now, a row of huge oaks leads us eastwards, where a neoclassical tea house with columns modelled on a Greek temple was built at the end of the park alley around 1816. The tea house was designed by Karl Langens. Here, people would meet for afternoon tea and long conversations, or a short gossip about current events. The axis connecting the chapel with the tea house is immersed in a charming shade under the crowns of oak trees. In the times of splendor of the palace, thoroughbred horses of Sztynort hosts and guests used to pass along this alley. Today, we are restoring traditions, reviving the history of the Sztynort stud. The sandy road leading west from Lake Sztynortskie runs through fields that used to belong to the Lehndorff estate, and then turns into another alley of oaks and leads to the forest by the lake, where, in 1857, an octagonal neo-Gothic tomb chapel of the Lehndorff family was built. It was designed by Friedrich August Stühle. The unusual two-story building served as a family tomb and a place for Sunday services. In the underground, with the entrance from the lakeside, there is a burial crypt, which is currently empty. The entrance from the side of the gate led to the upper floor, which served as a chapel. Employees of the Sztynort estate and villagers were buried in the traditional cemetery surrounding the chapel. It was possible to come here from Wabap village or from the palace using the cemetery road. Getting to the cemetery and back was also possible by boat, waiting on the shore near the chapel. The Lehndorff Mausoleum is one of the East Prussian family's most interesting grave monuments today. After many years of falling into ruin, it was restored thanks to the efforts of the Polish-German Foundation for the Protection of Cultural Monuments, which also takes care of the palace. A thorough roof renovation was carried out and the cemetery was also tidied up. The works were completed in August 2021. A charming alley of ancient oaks running from the chapel leads along Lake Wabap to the village of Wabapa. This route was used to travel from Sztynort to the mausoleum. The other path to the chapel, called the Cemetery Road, led directly from the palace. Wabapa is a village founded in the 16th century as an estate belonging to the Lehndorff family. In the 19th century, there was a Wabapa family farm with an area of about 336 hectares. Today, it is an attractive holiday location with a breathtaking view of the lake. The picturesque Wabap Lake is the westernmost part of Lake Dargin, connecting with Lake Dobskie Nature Reserve. Wabap has gentle shores. Its area is 34 hectares, and the average depth is only 3 meters. There are 2 peninsulas on the lake, the Krzywy Róg on the western side and the Fulecki Róg in the east. Lake Wabap has 2 islands, Ilma and Great Ilma. The name of the lake may probably come from the sound of lake frogs that sit on the shores croaking Wabap, Wabap. In the former complex of the Sztynortskie forests, there was a settlement of Sztynort dating back to 1874. Today this place is called Tarławecki Róg. The settlement, belonging to the Sztynort estate, was built as a forester's lodge. It is mentioned on old maps as Duży Kamień, which means great stone. The area around it was partly swampy and difficult to access. Archaeologists are still finding remains of forest charcoal kilns there. Today, the Forester's Lodge is located in the forest complex of the Borki Forestry Inspectorate, within the Mokre and Duży Kamień forest districts. The building is in private hands and undergoes careful renovation. One of the roads in the area of the former Sztynort estates crosses today's Sztynort Faunistic Nature Reserve, located in the Węgorzewo commune in the Węgorzewo county. The reserve was established on July 30th, 2010. It covers 448.36 hectares in the area of the Borki Forestry Inspectorate. The protected zone extends within the Natura 2000 Northern Masurian Refuge area. The subject of protection are the forests surrounding Sztynort. They stretch between the lakes Mamre, Dargin and partly Kirsaite. In 2017, the Mokre Nature Reserve was included within the borders of the Sztynort Reserve. The Sztynort Reserve aims to preserve and protect old oak trees, which are the habitat of beetles such as the hermit beetle, Cucuius cinnaberinus, or greater stag beetle. Moreover, the bays of Lake Kirsaite are protected. This is where water and marsh birds nest and gather during their autumn and spring migrations. The reserve also aims to preserve and protect a part of the alder and ash forest, and to protect the 150-year-old riparian forest with such species as spruce, field elm, black alder, bird cherry, alder buckthorn, Gelder rose, common hawthorn, blackcurrant, greater butterfly orchid, and fly honeysuckle. Roadside alleys of old trees are an inseparable cultural and natural element of the Masurian landscape. In winter, they marked a safe route. In summer, they protected travelers from the wind and sun. The unique historic alley of oaks leading from Tarławki to Sztynort connects the present with the past. We are slowly returning to the palace and the port of Sztynort to summarize today's experiences and water the horses. The first Sztynort horseback tour has ended, but the old tradition has come back to life. Next horse events related to the history and heritage of Sztynort may be coming soon.